Okay, the metallic onslaught is now, as we like to say. And today I'm talking with Marta Gabriel from Crystal Viper. How's it going?
Hi Randy. It's all good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, I was actually pretty excited when Joe said that this interview was going to be available because I was actually meaning to ask him if you were doing interviews because we get advances of the albums at times, and I've actually heard the new one and I love it, and I've been actually hoping I could talk to you about it.
Well, thanks a lot. So nice to hear you like it. Um, it's great to hear that you like the album because we are very proud of it. We put so much heart and effort and everything and passion to record this one. So yeah, it's a double pleasure, to have it released and to hear that someone like it.
Yes, I mean it fits in with my own personal preference, to because everybody's got their favorite styles of metal, and I've always been a fan of like the more power metal, the vocals, just the epic. You guys represent that really well. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Everyone has its own taste in music. So, uh, what can I say? You can be the sweetest orange in the world, but you can always find someone who doesn't like orange juice, right? So,
exactly,
yeah.
yes, that is it's very yes, you summed that up very well. I like that. um, you know, our show is very diverse. I mean, I have the stuff that I like, but one of our other co-hosts, Rick, he's more about the death metal and the growly and the brutality, and I like that well enough in its place, but it's never been my own favorite, you know. But
I also like different genres of metal and of music in general. With Crystal Viper, we play classic melodic heavy metal, but I also like death and black metal stuff, thrash metal, and so on. Glam rock as well, but classic heavy metal takes special place in my heart.
fully understood. So let else can you tell us about the new album? Where were you? I'm stumbling. Where did you record it?
Well, there is also a lot of interesting things around the Cult album. First of all, it was the first album in Crystal Viper history that we haven't recorded in the recording studio. Um, in last year, when we got back from a short tour, from German tour, it was in
Hmm.
February, this pandemic began, and we
Of
already
course.
knew, yeah, and we already knew that all our live show are going to be postponed or canceled completely. So we decided to not waste entire year and to start working on the new album. And we started working on it. It was March, and at the end of August, everything was ready. Songs were composed, all tracks were recorded, so the album was done. So it was actually pretty quick to get this album together, to get it done, to get it recorded. And another interesting thing about this album is that we recorded it with a new drummer because 2 years ago, yeah, right now it's 2 years already, our previous drummer, Golem, quit the band. So this is the new album with Cedric Forsberg on behind the drums. And it was weird. It was weird to record it at home because when you are in the recording studio with your bandmates and so on, you can feel this climate, you can feel it in the air that you are working on music, that you can focus completely on music, on recording songs. You don't think about other things in your life or what is going on outside the studio in general. When you are recording at home, it's a little bit different. Of course, it's also a pleasure to work on music because this is what we love to do, but it's completely different. And but it's not very cool to record at home in a way that um, when I'm working in the studio with my bandmates, I have this feeling that I'm working on music, which is my huge passion, with my good friends. You know, I can share this passion with them because in Crystal Viper, except being just a bandmates, we are also good friends. We like to hang
Right.
out together, to spend time together, and so on. And right now, we are in the moment that I haven't seen them since last February. So it's almost a year. Of course, we stay in constant touch. We speak we speak with each other almost every day, be it
Right.
on Skype, on Messenger, on the phone, and other things like that. But it's not the same. But I'm really happy and I'm glad we were able to put this album together.
Good deal.
And
Um,
let me add something else because I didn't explain you one very important thing. We weren't able to meet in the studio because we live in 3 different countries. In Poland, in
oh,
Germany, and in Sweden. So I actually forgot to tell you the crucial thing. Why we haven't met it in studio, because borders were closed. It was impossible to travel behind different countries, you know, without the risk of being under quarantine or to lose a flight, because flights were also canceled in the past and so on.
mhm.
So also for this, that's the reason we have no band photos for this album. We have no music video because it's still impossible for us to meet together in one place, the entire band, and to shoot the video or do the photos. So yeah, it's not cool, but we are waiting for a moment that we will be finally able to meet and to do something together.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And because I mean, I'm not sure what the status is where you are, but I know here in the States they're projecting that we could be seeing live events again, possibly in the fall. And I'm just here keeping my fingers crossed and hoping things work out because last year was difficult, and I miss going to live shows, and like music has been one of the things that's actually kept many of us sane, and it's always good to know that bands are working on new projects in the
Yes,
downtime.
yes, of course. I believe it's difficult for everyone, both for music fans and for musicians, and for also for companies that are in a kind of a way connected, you know, in general with music business. So it's difficult for everyone, but yeah, fall doesn't sound very optimistic for me, but at the moment, I know most important for us is to stay safe, to stay healthy, to take care of our families and friends and so on. And let's hope that it will happen soon, that we will be able to travel and to play live, especially because after we released our previous album, Tales of Fire and Ice, it was at the end of 2019. We
Hmm.
played only 8 live shows after the album was released and the pandemic began. So it was impossible for us to promote the previous album. So that's the reason this pandemic was the main reason that we started to work on the cult. But um, and that's why I hope that this pandemic will end very soon, so we will be able to go on tour with this album, because after the previous one we didn't play much.
Yes, I'm definitely hoping a lot of that can it just I'm hoping on a number of levels that cooler minds can prevail here, and life can get back to some semblance of normalcy. So as far as, I mean, it's like projecting out, not like I said, not knowing what the situation is in Europe right now, as far as, and I'm sure it differs from country to country. Are
Yeah.
there potential live plans being put together, like tentatively booking anything?
Yes and no. Some bands already announced that they are not going to play at all in 2021.
Hmm.
And they are announcing that everything is rescheduled to 2022. some booking agencies and bands are doing their best to make it happen to play this year. But no one really knows what will happen because the situation here in Europe changes from week to week. For
Mm-hmm.
example, as far as I know, Spain has their borders closed right
Yep.
now. You cannot travel from Poland to Germany without making two tests or something like that. I'm not sure if it's still like that because we are also receiving so many different news from so many sources, and sometimes
Mm.
I'm not even sure if the news that I read are real or not, or if they are still
Oh,
actual, because everything changes so fast that sometimes I'm even, I know only some old news while there are some news, some new ones. So yeah, you never know what
that.
will happen. And for example, our tour has been rescheduled 2 times already, and
Yes.
it's a tour with Wolf and with Raven, and I hope we will play it this year, but I cannot be sure about that because, like I said, no one knows what will happen. That's weird, actually. You cannot control. You have no control. We have no control of what is going
No,
on right now.
we certainly do not. So we've talked about the new album. Um, any favorite tracks that you're looking forward to playing when you are able to play again live?
Well, I cannot wait to play The Cult, the
Hmm.
title song from the album, and let me think.
I know
And
it's almost like asking you to pick a favorite child. It's not
uh,
really fair, is it?
I really like The Cult, and I also love Down in the Crypt. Down in the
Yes.
Crypt. Yeah. And yeah, those two probably are my favorite. Maybe also The Whisperer in Darkness. Whispers from Beyond. Whispers,
Hmm.
I'm saying The Whisperer in Darkness because it's a title of Lovecraft story, and I'm still sometimes, instead of saying the title from the album, I still remember the story that inspired me to write
Yes,
a song.
I know how that goes, and I love Lovecraft myself. So
Yeah.
there's, I think, two or three. We have a few Lovecraft fans on the show, actually. So we
Yes,
we uh, we channel Lovecraft quite a bit, actually.
yes, there are a lot of, and I know a lot of people who loves Lovecraft, and I have many Lovecraft maniacs here between my friends. The impact Lovecraft has on the pop culture is like it's amazing,
Oh,
and
it is.
and it's a kind of interesting thing regarding new album Lovecraft and Crystal Viper fans because some friends of us and of ours and some Crystal Viper fans who got to be interested in the album and the concept around the album. They started to ask me, "What is it about? Is it about the book or movie or something?" And these were people who didn't know Lovecraft, before that.
Hmm.
And I told him what is this album about and so on, and they actually started to read Lovecraft stories, and they loved it. So it's always nice to hear that I inspired a Crystal Viper inspired someone to reach for the books because I personally I love to read. I love to read. I
Oh,
love to yeah.
same here.
Yes, and it's very nice to hear that somebody started to read books because of your music. That's fantastic.
Yes, no, it's a good feeling when you can turn people on to something new that they haven't experienced yet. And I mean, it's like I have a wide variety. It's like I love horror, I love fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi here and there. But it's like Lovecraft, Neil Gaiman, Stephen King, just Tolkien. It's all good. It's like there's so much great literature out there. And it's like
Yeah, yes.
I wish I could read it all. I really
there's no time, you know. We would spend a lifetime on reading, but it's not possible. So
Sadly, it's not, and you have to pick and choose. But so far, so good.
yeah, but you know, regarding reading Lovecraft, it was the first time in my life that I got into someone's literature so much that it was like when I finally started to read his stories, I loved them so much that, for example, when I started reading in the afternoon, and after that I couldn't read, I was listening those stories as audiobooks, you know, because I felt like I need to finish this story. I cannot wait till another day or something like that. And in the evening, when I was going to bed and I was reading his book before going to sleep, I was having dreams about his stories. You know, that was amazing. So I I completely sunk into his works. That was amazing. That there were moments that I almost felt like a character from his stories because of those dreams. You know, because as Lovecraft fan, you probably know that in his stories it happened a lot that main characters were having dreams about all
Yeah,
those creatures and stuff. Yeah, so
the
it had a
yep, you have the entire dream cycle there to enjoy. There's
yes,
this an entire cycle of stories that revolve around that.
yeah,
Matter of
it's
fact,
a
my brother has, I can't remember. I've got one collection. He's got another. He's got a couple of collections, but I'm pretty sure he's got the Dream Cycle collection. And I've got some of like the earlier stories before he got more into the cosmic horror. But it's all good. It's like everything she's written is pretty much gold if you have
yes.
the patience to you know, immerse yourself in it.
Yes, and I agree that both those very short stories are amazing, where are like 3 pages or something, as well as those very, very long. Like for example, um, my favorite story is At the Mountains of Madness. I
And that is
think,
one that I still have not been. I need to pick that one up and actually because everybody recommends it, and it's like one of the only stories I haven't read because I've read Call of Cthulhu, but Mountains of Madness is one that I still haven't sat down with because I always seem to have something else on the reading list, and then I'll think of it, and I'm like, no, I want to finish this first, and then by the time I finish
uh-huh.
that, I forget about But one of these days, I am going to read that. Matter of fact, I'm going to probably write that down, and
Yes,
once I'm done with
I truly recommend this one. It's a long one. It's a one,
it, is
yeah, yes, it's a very long one, and I loved it so much that I will probably read it again very soon because, yeah, it's my favorite one. And actually, a song from our album Forgotten Land was inspired by the stories, and it's also one of my favorite tracks from the album, Forgotten Land. Yeah.
good
But
deal.
you need to read this one. You're gonna love it, trust me.
That is what everybody tells me. I'm going to change that. Very,
Yeah, so they are wise people.
uh, I'm actually probably going to recommend mention to one of our guest hosts, Soraya Azkath, who he's a guest host on our show, and he also hosts his own show called The Last Exit for the Lost, and he's a bigger Lovecraft fan than I am, and I'll have to mention it to him that you two might have a lot to talk about. But we're approaching. I'm not sure how much time you had allotted, but we're closing on a 20-minute mark here. So, did you have anything else you wanted to share before we depart?
Uh, well, yeah, I would like to add that for the very first time, we have released we will release two versions of one album. The regular version with vocals and so
Mm-hmm.
on, and the second version is entitled Shred Version. It's a version of the album without vocals, where all tracks are instrumental and all vocal lines are played on guitars. So except instead of vocals, you have guitar solos, guitar harmonies, and so on. So we wanted to do something in Steve Vai and Malmsteen style. So if there are
yeah.
so if there are people who like this kind of metal albums, I really recommend it. And even in Crystal
I
Viper, and even inside the band, there is already a joke about this album that if there is someone who doesn't like my vocals, he can finally listen to Crystal Viper. Yeah.
No, that's that is good to know, and I would definitely be interested in that myself. I just like I love a good instrumental, and to hear, the songs interpreted in that manner, I think that would be really cool.
Yes, I really recommend it because it's something new. As for us, it's something new. But I wanted to do that for years, especially because when I'm composing music, first version is always instrumental because, I play piano, I play guitar, I do all arrangements, with my instruments. And the vocal line is actually the very last instrument that I add to a song. I compose all vocal lines on piano, so you can hear the main melody of the song. So this is what I always wanted to do, and we finally had an opportunity to release an album with this format. So yeah, I really recommend it. It's something cool to listen. Hope you'll like it.
Good deal. Well, with that being said, I think this is a good place to end. Thank you for taking the time with us today. So Crystal Viper, the name of the album is The Cult, and it's out February, what's the date again?
29.
29th, okay. Or wait, are you sure it's the 29th? That would have been a leap year last year. Maybe 28th?
Right now I'm not sure about anything. I really
had to think about that for a second. It's like, wait, we would have had a 29th last year.
I think it's January 29.
Okay, January 29th would make, yes. Okay.
I'm horrible with dates, I'm horrible with dates and with titles. There are, for example, sometimes during the interviews, I'm asked about, if I could say, for example, 5 albums that I would take to a, desert island or something like that, or 5 albums that I can't live without, and the truth is there are many, but I don't remember the titles of the album. I just go to a second room, I take the album, from the shelf and put it into my CD player, but I never remember the title of the album. So yeah, I have a horrible memory. I
can relate to that. My short term is terrible sometimes. And then people are like amazed and sometimes annoyed that I can remember things crystal clear from like 30, 40 years ago, though. It's a little nuts.
Yeah. But I sometimes but I sometimes remember what is on the cover art, So I cannot tell the title of the album, but I say something like, yeah, there is this blue cover art with the witch on it, or something like that. Yeah. So sometimes it's funny.
It is. I fully agree. Okay, well, once again, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. You'll be able to find this on the Randy MetalWulf YouTube page, and possibly as well as the Metallic Onslaught, the Last Exit for the Metallic Onslaught, the page that we share with Last Exit for the Lost, all on YouTube. And I'll be sharing accordingly on my own Facebook page and other areas. So good luck in the rest of 2021. I hope you guys can manage to get out on the road and play this new music soon.
Thank you very much for nice words, and thank you very much for this interview and for supporting Crystal Viper. It means a lot, and I really hope your listeners will like our new album because, like I said, we are very proud of it, and thanks a lot.
As you should be. It's a tight, solid metal album. Possibly going to be one of my favorites of the year.
This is for sure my favorite album from Crystal Viper. So
good deal. I mean, I only say that because it's like still early in the year and we get so much music, but I have a good feeling that this one's going to be among my favorites by the time we compile all the info at the end of the year again.
Wow, nice to hear that. Hope it's gonna be like that.
Right on. Okay. Thank you once again.